Yo, what's up, people of YouTube? SoresanCrockxen here to bring you Legend of Korra, episode number 3 review. Now, excuse me. Now, actually, this episode towards the end seemed a little dark to me. And I'm gonna get to that when we actually get to that part in this review. But first, the first thing we see different from the previous two episodes is the introduction being shortened and changed. Excuse me. The animation for the four elements is shortened. They change the other part and make it shorter too. Now, let's get on with the episode, right? So we see Korra, Bolin, and Mako training. We see the guy that actually owns the pro bending company, whatever you want to call it. He's the owner. He asked them that they need to get money, 300,000, whatever. Oh gosh, what is it called? Their monetary value, 300,000, equivalent of that. In order to actually enter the tournament, even though they actually earn the right to go in. Bolin has to make like a mini circus with his little fair, which is called Pabu, in front of a statue in the plaza, while Mako actually goes and gets a job, and they actually use like lightning, the firebending side, the lightning side of firebending, um, which I thought was pretty cool to do, but I think it's too many people are using it now, to where it's not as special as it was back in the previous series. Um, and then he ends up going there to their house, finds out Bowen's not there because Bowen actually got a job offer as a bodyguard for the leader of the triple whatever they're called, because I can't remember their name. And he ends up accepting. He goes to excuse me. Mako goes to Arab Temple Island, where Korra is actually able to pass through the roulette with more ease now, which I think is pretty cool. I think it's funny because Jinora and Ikki end up going, "Hey, Korra, is that the firebending guy that drives you nuts?" And I was like, "Ha ha!" They know that she has a crush on him. And she, and Mako's like, "Hey, have you seen my brother Boy?" She's like, "Oh, well, thanks for the hello and no." They end up going to the city on Naga, and as soon as she calls her, and he's like, "So your best friend is a polar bear dog? Why am I not surprised?" I was like, "You douche, you're a douche." So I end up going to the statue, and they see this little kid who Mako walks up to. He's like, "Hey, have you seen my brother?" He's like, "Oh, I don't know. I can't remember." Puts out his hand. Like, you give me some money, I might remember. Ends up giving him a bill. I don't know what it's worth, but he ends up giving him the bill. And he's like, "Oh yeah, he was here around noon." Excuse me, around noon. He's like, "Well, did he say where he was going?" "Oh man, I can't remember that very well." Puts out his hand again. He gives him another bill. He's like, "You are one good businessman." He's like, "Yeah, one of the guys from the triple whatever gang, he came here, offered him a job, gave him a big old wad of cash, and he left." So then I'm going to the place, find out there's no guards in the front, which makes Mako look suspicious. So when he walks up to the door all secretly and secret agent style, looks through the car, just busts the door down. The whole place is a mess. And they're hearing a noise from the back, so they run to the back. And freaking, they see Bolin alongside the leader of the triple whatever, and another guy, and then this guy closes the door, and they're in this and there's five motorcyclists behind them, and they end up following them after this like green mist. I don't know what it's supposed to do though. They give chase on Naga. They end up being able to stop two of the motorcyclists through Mako using firebending and Korra using earthbending. And they end up fighting. And for some weird reason, Korra just loves firebending. I've noticed this. If you notice this, leave a comment down below. Um, she uses firebending more than waterbending, which is her first element, mind you. And then freaking Korra ends up, they end up fighting these guys, and they're actually tree blockers, which is something that we only saw Ty Lee do in the first series, and I actually thought that was a cool concept. And I knew they were gonna bring it back. I just didn't expect it to be so soon. I expected it in like episode 6 or 7, at least in that area, because it is a short series. I'm guessing that's why they introduced it so fast. So they end up, not able to give chase anymore. They go to the park with Korra first. The first park that Korra was in the first episode, and she ends up saying, "Yeah, there was this guy here talking about the equalist. I'm guessing, the first day I came here in the same park, and then they're sleeping there. And when they wake up in the morning, they're like cuddling together. And I thought that was adorable, because the guy actually wakes them up, doing his little chat, speaking out loud to the megaphone. They end up walking to her, and you shall not silence me again. Freaking slaps the megaphone out of his hand, like breaks on the floor. You will shut up and listen to me. My friend was kidnapped by your people, so you better start talking. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he's like, yeah, one of this, she ends up doing earthbending and knock the table off. And then there's all these flyers start flying. Mako's like, what is this revelation nonsense? What does this mean? Like, I'm not telling you because that's for important people. Korra grabs him and lifts him up. You better start talking right now, old man. He's like, well, I don't know what the revelation is, and I don't know anything about your friend. And then this cop shows up. He's like, hey, what are you doing? And freaking the guy's like, Avatar's trying to suppress me. And I was like, what the freak? You asshole. They end up leaving, right? Mako, for some weird reason, grabs a bunch of the flyers, which is actually a good thing, but I think it's retarded that they have. And why do you need the flyers in the first place? So I'm going to this bus stop, and he ends up noticing that on the back of the flyer is like a mini map. Obviously like a puzzle. And he ends up finding, he grabs two, one with a dot and another one that seems to connect it. He goes to the map that's in the bus stop. He starts trying to fit it in the entire map. Finds the place. He's like, yeah, I know where that is. So end up going to the place, making a disguise, and they go in. Excuse me. They go in after this bodyguard's like, hey, I can't let you in. This is a private event. I can't let you in without an invitation. Korra's like, an invitation? Freaking Mako pulls out another file. I was like, where the frick are you keeping these? Like, is this what you're talking about? He's like, oh, welcome, my brethren. Come in. The revelation about to start. I was like, really? That's all you need to get into this place? That's some lame-ass invitation. I mean, you get that anywhere. The guy was literally handing them out. And then they end up going in, and Mako makes a statement. Whoa, I knew there were so many equals, but I didn't expect to see so many in one place. And actually, the place was huge, and the whole place was packed. So I end up going back more to the front, and Mako quickly states, we need to get bowling and get the fuck out of here. So I end up, seeing that we get introduced to Amon, who's the leader of the Equalists, the main bad guy of the series, with the mask, and the dude with the mask. Which is a little weird. He goes on this whole sob story about, oh, when I was a child, I was with my parents. We lived in a farm. We were poor. We didn't have a lot of money. But we were being suppressed by firebenders. And when my father spoke back to one, he ended up killing my family and taking away my face. I was like, that's why I wear a mask. I was like, what the fuck? What are you talking about? And then Korra's like, oh my gosh. She's like, I have the power to take away bending forever. And Korra's like, that's impossible. And at this point, I was like, this guy's an airbender, because I think he's the one that used that. He's the only one we've actually seen be able to take away someone's bending power forever. So I was like, this guy might be an airbender. We actually get to hear who the only people that can use this thing in. I'm going to say that later on. So he ended up fighting the leader of the triple ... gang, because he's like, well, I'll give you the chance, an opportunity to keep your bending powers. I was like, that's actually seems fair. Ends up fighting. He does something that Azula did not show in the previous series. He firebend and then switched it up to lightning in the middle of the fight. And I thought that was pretty cool, because Azula didn't do that. Iroh used his lightning as a defense mechanism, not as a fence. So he ends up losing, and then the freaking guy does the whole forehead thing. He's actually shooting lightning while he's doing it. He ends up changing to fire and then disappears. And so he can't use bending anymore. And then Korra's like, oh my gosh, what the freak just happened? That's possible. She's freaked out, like, seriously. So he ends up, going on and on, because the boss, 3 other bodyguards, and bowling. And while this is all happening, Korra's about to dash into the stage. And Mako's like, wait, we can't do this by ourselves. So they end up strategizing. They end up thinking of a plan. And just before Bolin's about to fight, Mako's like, hey, those pipes over there. Yeah, you see them? They have water and steam. If you can use that to cover up, I can grab Bolin and we get the fuck out of here. And so, they go, and she goes over there, and she ends up starts breaking the damn pipes. The bodyguard shows up, hey, what are you doing? And she takes out a wrench, starts fighting each other. She ends up doing earthbending, knocking him into the pipes, make a huge old steam. This is happening exactly when Bolin's about to be, fight the guy. Creates some mist. They get out because people start running away. One of the motorcyclist dudes, I'm pretty sure he wasn't a motorcyclist, but one of the guys from the gang, go to kidnap Bolin. Mako knocks him out. They leave. Korra ends up going to see to Air Temple Island again, and she's like upset. And Tenzin's like, "What's wrong? Were you not able to find your friend?" She's like, "Yeah, but the leader of the Equalists can take bending away forever." And Tenzin's like, "That's impossible. Only the Avatar can do that." And that's actually pretty interesting because I thought just Aang was able to, airbending would do that. But so since only the Avatar can do this, so that's actually a very big mysterious thing we need to find out later on in the series. One thing I forgot to mention in the first series, or the first episode review, is that they totally changed it. Because back in the first series, although it makes sense, combining it with this series, what was is the element opposite to yours is the one that you cannot master. It's hardest to master. With Aang was earthbending. If you're a waterbender, it's firebending. If you're a firebender, it's waterbending. If you're an earthbender, it's airbending. And actually, this is actually shown here. Because Korra uses firebending mostly, but she's a waterbender. Yet she has trouble with airbending, which has nothing to do with. And in this series, it's mentioned how your personality, which kind of makes sense because Katara mentions it as Aang being the calm guy, and earthbending is more of a fierce fighter type of a thing. So, anyways, that's just something that I need to bring back up. This episode, I gotta admit, it was pretty cool. I still like number 2 more because it was funny as hell. This one was just too dark. Just the fact that he was using this. Aang did it to save the world. This guy's just doing it this guy's just creepy. Like, no joke at all. I don't know. I want to know where this is gonna go, because this is gonna turn into a full-scale war. This is gonna be interesting. So yeah, and I want to see how they're gonna get the money too, because they're still missing quite a bit of cash. But yeah, this episode was pretty good. I still like number 2 more. We'll see how number 4 is. Amon is a cheap ass hacker. He's a hacker. Totally grabbed that ability out of nowhere. Korra is still pretty. I like Korra a lot more now. I actually thought it was gonna be a little weird getting to know this new avatar. I gotta admit, she is kind of cute though. But the bad thing is she kind of reminds me of Sokka, which is weird. But yeah, this episode was pretty good. Tell me what you thought about the episode in the comment section below. Video responses are welcome as well. Overall, what do you think of the series so far? I personally think it might end up being a good series. This whole mystery thing, something we didn't have in the previous one. I want to see where this goes. And yeah, so this has been SoresanCrockxen with Legend of Korra, episode number 3. Keep practicing your bending skills. Also, answer the question: do you think Korra is using firebending a little too much? And again, what is your favorite element? Which one would you like to be a master of? Comments down below. And I'll catch you guys for the next Legend of Korra episode review. Peace.